It was another epic game between Inter Milan and FC Barcelona. And of course, it was Barca playing at home. And what it came, this was really, really interesting game between the two teams. And today we are going to go through to see how Inter Milan were able to neutralize Barcelona's attack and make sure they got that 3-3 draw. Game no na anoshe. We're quite Inter and Barca for no far so. One of the most exciting games in the Champions League this season. Na ano edinye papa. But quite when Inter for no far so omutimi neutralize Barca for an attack no. Almost make sure say almost share 3 goals ewe game and you be room na fear said no ma. First of all, the score line in that game was very, very interesting. Before the game, now Ubisani Papi, including myself, now the idea was that Barcelona playing against Inter Milan. Don't forget, this season Barcelona actually goes to do in the Champions League. And Inter Milan were the best defense when it comes to the UEFA Champions League. And going into that game, it was more or less Inter fono betimi kura Barca attack nim kakra. It is a Barca beshe goals kura nebe 1 or 2 bi nanka Inter swati mu baako na 2-1 victory. But the two teams managed to go the mile to give us 3 goals each in this particular game. And that was pretty much interesting. Now, and now I will share you before the game, I told you, say Inter fono benya bibia free game numa, Yansoma will be very, very key in the game. That is the Inter Milan goalkeeper no. Because Inter fono beko ko go chire, they will sit back. And to always be honest, Barca for the ball ni piano munya kwanya, they will try to shoot from behind. Or may try so or shot from a tree, ever call Interforno so. And me catch also goalkeeper Yansoma, no be very, very key. And I know how he game ni bibiano, who said on numerous occasions, ne Yansoma and all save Inter Milan team. And even on one occasion, I went yan calculations no right, it led to an Ungoa, and my game no Ekokori 3-3. This season, the closest a team has come to giving Barcelona a tough test and making them go back to sit and reflect on whatever they've done this season, Inter Milan game. Because Omuma Barca for a very good game. Make I say Inter for they will come with mentality and tactics. That is what Italians do. Homono, so Omoba game no. And you say game na ye kwa kobono ye kwa technicalities, ye kwa pace, ye kwa power nko. Oma dwene mu no, they make their mind say bon na ye kwa kobono ye betimi ahye. And corner ye winning. That is how they approach their game. And tactically, Papa a friend says Simeone Inzaghi, he was on top of issues and draw against FC Barcelona. Upe manager bakwa this season, Wama Hansi Flick, tough time. Ne drew by big crown, Barca for no what 3-3, na still all introduce defenders. Papa a friend says Simeone Inzaghi. So this game was an epic game and a really interesting one. But Sawai was a game where now very interesting. Between Barcelona and Inter. Don't forget, say in 2010, we had a similar encounter between the two teams. And again, that was the semi-final. After Barca Voco lose 3-1, that was Giuseppe Meazza. No, I'm better if you will come no. I'm about 20 shots. 20 shots. Now, I move 4 on target. Yet, I'm winning game no by 1-0. I'm aggregate no, Ekokoye 3-2. And that game, Barcelona dominated possession. Almost far ball ni nyina boy. 86%. Inter Milan for only 14. Henry Makacha say teams under Jose Mourinho. One day you benya time. Ni ababe chirem de ntia Jose Mourinho decided so be fat this odd ball to play against FC Barcelona no. You be chire num on a separate day. But the fact is that Jose Mourinho actually came to Camp Nou and he made sure that or the Barca for Nababe to a level no more deserve so more better. And from there, they went on straight to win the UEFA Champions League. And in that game, there were so many moments. The likes of Diego Milito, top guys. And I know we FC Barcelona for no wage. But I did about Kwan is so surprising. He say, so the age of Inter Milan squad at the time. Now the total Barca at the end of one. Now Inter team near an aging squad, a squad that no munini. We have more age now. Be 33, be 32, be 31. team and Samuel Tomuna ultimately consider omun at least the young guys in the setup and there. Na a Chelsea team no age or more papa. But FC Barcelona for no a core they made sure they gave them one of the best games in the history of the competition. Now in the return encounter, Barca for koye tifo no mo twa so remontada. You can remontada in Spain I just say the comeback. But Jose Mourinho came, he saw this tifo and he made sure say in their own backyard obey you with their free UEFA Champions League. But some of the funny moments in that game was at the time Barca for no more numerical advantage because Thiago Motta could do red card. Into Pep Guardiola yana dream say or introduce Zlatan Ibrahimovic into the game because early stages no opponent read the red card there my first striker ba ko meka ho say the bear betimi dominate na yahye goals no bi na yetimi qualify but emra one Zlatan gina ho a o kire ne de onko game no mu nkonkoye no and Jose ko gina na chika kire ne say don't celebrate yet, this game isn't over susu ma wani nye susu two strikers gum because game we no e wo mo say enipa ba ko free mu de but still there's still something to play for. Now with just 10 men, around 18th minute, and a red card nearby, but Jose managed to play a defensive system, the odd ball. You bono basa. We are saying, now when your qualification at the corner. So this wasn't the only epic game of memories I see between Inter and Barca. And it's in Amdoa 2010. Amateur said there were moments that games between these two teams now no heading ye papa. But I know I heard lineups at two teams no. Omdiura came on FC Barcelona decided to go with their usual 4-2-3-1. Pedri, Frankie de Jong, Dani Olmo. Before the game, I said something. Said, team and the midfield, the neighborhood ball no so be on a bit dominant in the game. Until here, at some point, Pedri was struggling a bit to get that usual authority na ya game. Why? Because Henrik Mkhitaryan, Hakan Calhanoglu, and then Nicolo Barella. Chuma no more in the midfield hono. Now no adding. They added strength to technicalities and the mentality can home. Into against these young lads now, omu sheti be omu dominating the midfield no. And no na adding the FC Barcelona for no in a way. So omu benya that usual dominance in the midfield over International Milan Football Club. But Barca for no usually they go with that high line. Defense never ball when him close to the center circle just to leave a wide space. Say the bear, you cannot attack them on the break. But Inter for no so no different ideology coming into the game. Do you Inter for no so line up now? Look, they came with the 3-5-2 formation. That is what Papa Efrense Simeone Inzaghi is best known for. And two Barca for no midfield who say at some point one of the players did not get the green mark. There's another performance no form kakra. Until some me Barca lineup no. Now menya that midfield no ejuma enfama. Check it. Frankie de Jong, he had 6.76 rating. Pedri now 7.37 and Dani Olmo 70. Go back to the Inter Milan lineup. Who say Inter phoning the midfield was on top of issues. Obia crossed the 7-point rating mark now. It tells you say collectively as a team in the midfield, Inter Milan actually did a very, 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 very good job. And a Boya and Omar Koye. But again, you check the fullbacks of Inter Milan. Denzel Dumfries, Federico Di Marco. Di Marco, it was a difficult night for him because he was playing against one of the best players in the world in Lamine Yamal. To say Yamal three and toda no so awini battle no kakran game no antimi awie ene yi ni film because we share Lamine Yamal for 90 minutes you really know exactly what we are talking about. But aside the two lineups now two teams no dey come no, you check the rate at which are not possible say two teams no be betimi ahye go. So you see 3 goals for both teams, 19 shots for FC Barcelona. Don't forget, say 2010, it was 20 shots for Barca, 4 on target, and Omunya just 1 goal. But this time, Omubenya 19 shots, and Omunya 3 goals out of those 19. Now, expected goals when it comes to open play, but Omunya 1.19, and Inter the other form cry. So it means Inter was very efficient. Omu critique a krebi. But out of the little they created, they managed to get their chances right. Omo manage say omo the balls ni be better to net. Until omo they were attacking with purpose. They had just 7 shots in the entire game. 7 shots no emumians omo they show. Barca 19 but only 3 goals. It tells you say in terms of efficacy and efficiency it was for Inter Milan. Omo call when you could sense that they are going out there to create a chance because it was a quick transition style of a play. Lautaro Martinez. Then he's going to flip to Marcos Thuram. All that energy and the ability to bully any defense or no Mubisha. And of course, it was an interesting game. And total SG, no, Barca 1.37 and Inter Milan 1.27. So it tells you, say, in as much as Barca for no attack, no more a lot of shots, creating a lot of chances, no. 0.1 SG per and already change Inter for no. It tells you the kind of a work that Inter Milan actually came to do in the game. But in the Champions League, there be a crazy moment in those kind of games. And a game really interesting. So you check the results here 3-3. Inter for 4 goal on Moshe and VAR ruling it out. No? People are still arguing as to say na ball no nka was edge. It was an offside. Ko player na ne boot na no kakra bi na dem. And of course, when it happens like that, it's going to be an offside. But again, you check the angle. Lamine Yamal Gina ya ultimisha the goal. No, now Marcos Thuram so that flick he managed to put at the back of the net within just 30 seconds of the start of the game. Interesting scenes, and I see a game no. Again, they be a said football. It tells a lot of stories. So per sport about more stories related to life football and not any other sport. And football does that so well. Papa ye owaye Lilian Thuram. Na neba any Marcos Thuram I know after just 30 seconds or share Barca phone. Ne papa actually played for Barcelona. And the days were Barca no, he was one of the best you could ever get from France. I will be seeing that kind of crowd my Barca phone. And now na papa net stance in him. I will turn the support the man ebano. So it was a bit of divided emotions. Because team na airborne waba mo in Barcelona and Inter for no so airborne na ho na ne bagina nti ho ayechi na okwa akotai but in just 30 seconds Marcos Thuram ne papa Lilian Thuram to stance him na or the flick a cheeky goal or the Asha Barca for no and he celebrated at the angle na ne papa ne no na se camera to papa no so na he could not jubilate because he was playing against his own club. And that is what football is all about. Sometimes game are very, very emotional. Away from that, Lamine Yamal. My word, where is this guy from? Barca for no confirm free. Because when he has the ball, no Lamine Yamal na. You don't know how, but you know so we could create a chance and I will go. And kwaya will bet me the ball na ure nipa mienu miensa na intem no. It tells you the guy is a genius. Ade ba ko pe na Lamine Yamal consistency. Nti wo hu se game ba ko wayi ne ho bebre. Na wiase nyina etonyom fra na wiase nyina bo na baso. But the next 3-4 games Lamine timi ko off kakra. Then enye se wo call off se wasa. But performance or the man against Inter no. So twice the same performance no Emma consistently best of 5, 6, 7, 8 games the whole world will bow before this kid. Because yesterday was a night that Lamine Yamal actually took the game to Inter. A draw, baby, no. Now was Inter for the power 4, 5, 6, and the general Lamine Yamal. Still, he was finding his way and then making it into the box. In Barca phone, you have a jewel. All you need to pray for is injury free. Mumampa is a complacency and setting in. And no baby problems between Ono and any coaches. If he manages to play at the same level, I promise you, this guy can overturn any situation FC Barcelona for be facing in games. But Kwakuma, the next image, you know. In 1992, Nike for a commercial be. Na commercial na Nike for a year, no. Nipa na all kasa behind the commercial, no say. What if you told God to make you the best player in the world at age 16 and he was actually listening? Na so mu wi a Ronaldo Luis Nazario de Lima ni video at 16 years What far ball from his own half? What Chini Pavers and 9 the ball na to net. And no, any commercial Nike for the year. At age 21, this guy was already holding the Ballon d'Or. And to date, was the youngest player to have ever won the Ballon d'Or. This story could be related to Lamine Yamal story. Because Yamal at 17, now he born with a bit of consistency, he could break that record of Ronaldo Luis Nazario de Lima, say at 21 winning the Ballon d'Or. This guy could even do it before reaching 20 if he continues to be on the same level. Now after the game, that was even during it. I said, this guy is incredible. That is Lamine Yamal. He was watching the game on his laptop. So he captured the moment Yamal this are born from the tight angle to net. This guy is really incredible. Now, apart from Ellen Haaland, Alejandro Garnacho nso aba Canada. These are kids. But they are recognizing the expertise and how good Lamine Yamal is. Was the best player in the world? Also, the comment Lamine Yamal the posters and give me Rio Ferdinand, one of the best defenders to have ever applied his trade in the history of the game. Rio Ferdinand so the message by. What him say we no say yan hwe ne ye na say yan krakra nkakra na ye jano ma at some point eniema kosai mana we have lost a genius. And also as a pure football talent, I'm going as far as to say I think Lamine Yamal is on another level to any player playing the game in the top 5 leagues in the world. 17 years old, truly unbelievable. That is Rio Ferdinand. Rio Ferdinand played against so many players. And in an one who a lot of top talent. Now, so what UK for now? Omonta mo bi abaso. So unye England ni Jadon Sancho twemi enu abeto omonka wo England ho. Se player before ball no down ho ba ko Bukayo Saka wo bete nka. But no matter how good you are, so from different country I no monta nka. But for Rio Ferdinand himself to come out and then say this kind of thing about Lamine Yamal, it tells you the kind of a game the guy actually had. Simeone Inzaghi, coach the man interphone and ra, or coach game a boy, he also came out. Also, talents like Yamal are born once every 50 years. That is Simeone Inzaghi. And ra, also do baby now also only 2-3 players in the general Lamine Yamal, so still now Kodano finding ways to get into the box and to score. And the Barcelona, they have a difference maker at a very tender age. And the situation now. Already over 9 players, closely any zone Lamine Yamal could have possibly exploited. Yet he found his way in the box and he managed to create a chance and then the goal keep. Hey, players saying, Nipa Marco 8, 9. They are all closing that zone because Yamal or the ball number kakra now cut it on to the left foot now shoot it. So just check the positioning of Inter Milan players. So, Nipa 9, they are all focusing on Yamal, trying to close every possible situation. But this little boy, this 17-year-old, still managed to get into that situation and then he managed to score. Inter for a solid defensive setup on the buy. But FC Barcelona for also say, in as much as they are defending so well, almost ways and means are breaking the defensive line of Inter Milan no mashigo. Until if you give me the next situation, you could see that in that situation, no, Inter for no now were in very good positions or defend the ball. So you check Dumfries, Bisek, Acerbi, Bastoni, and then DeMarco. Right in front of them, Inter shape no is solid. Tactical discipline, concentration, bibia omo de mabasa for no. So at that particular scoreline. So we need game because at some point you could see Senna Inter for no were attacking. That was the pointer. Hansi Flick, the Christensen, backhand defense. At some point, Inter could have taken this game away by winning 4-3. They even scored, but it was an offside goal. Now, check Pedri's brilliance. Barca for they are trying to attack Inter, but Inter have a very good shape. That is the 5-3-2. Son of the bad game, but he managed to pick Rafinha in between the right back and then the center back. He managed to pick Rafinha in between the right back and then the center back, and that is what we call the half space. half space is the most dangerous space that you can attack in football. Because right fullback no concentrate on nipa or ha. Center back no super concentrate a bit on the striker. Do it in fast out to Kroimua. You are going right there to attack in the game. And check Pedri, the pass for Rafinha. Rafinha went in, and instead of trying to score himself, he decided to cut back, and then Ferran Torres was there to make it a goal for FC Barcelona Football Club. In the Interfono, look, they played so well. Bernard Bass and so antidote to every other situation at Inter Milan for no at the Baba game. No. I feel the comparison between Lamine Yamal and Leo Andres Messi Kuchitini. Look, after 99 games, Lamine Yamal had 21 goals. Now Messi had 41. Messi was 14 assists, Lamine Yamal was 33. Messi had 4 trophies, Lamine Yamal had 3. After 99 games. Which say Lamine is more of a creator than Messi at this level. But now Messi is so finishing, then the ability to score goals, you know, or so baby. I mean, Makase, the only similarities between Lamine Yamal and Messi, you said they are both left-footed. Yamal bona or bona who you know Messi level no. Even at that age, even after 99 games, Lamine is still a guy growing bit by bit. And people should stop the comparison between the boy and Messi. Messi ne a generational talent in who you know. Just allow this guy. Let him enjoy himself. Let him play his game. And I believe that very, very soon he will also create his own history and get to his own level. But it's a see idea. Look, the guy is ruling and he's really on top of issues. Now, Inter will go to Giuseppe Meazza to wait for Barca. But a bit of a problem because Lautaro Martinez had to play a free game in the Inter are concerned. For a player watch 8 goals, and they Inter in the Champions League area, you would have expected him to be fit for that game. Inter need to really pray. Said by the time a second leg will be drawn, now Lautaro Martinez is fit. But even in his absence, Omo Mediterranean, Omo Marcos Thuram, Marco Arnautovic, these are guys who can take the game to FC Barcelona, especially at the Giuseppe Meazza San Siro. Now, in this century, the 21st century, you know, we patch 4 times Barca for no free Champions League in him. Italian teams in a year free. So let me put it well for you to understand. In the 21st century, Italian teams have knocked Barca out of the Champions League on 4 different occasions. In the 2002-2003 quarterfinals, Juventus for you free. Then you check 2009-2010, it was semi-final Inter for that was what I talked about. Then in 2016-17, Juventus eliminated them in the quarterfinals. That was the 9 for Dybala, a ball hat-trick, a Pejano to the highest level. Then in 2017-2018, it was AS Roma, Kostas Manolas, the Greek god, and almost a Barca free. This time, history could repeat itself. But we have Barca team no level no more. And maybe another or say away no Barca team can qualify. Look, they've played so many good away games. Had the Omode Koye Atletico Madrid, Civitas Metropolitano. They went there and they made sure say Omode Atletico for now to a more proper level, scoring them a lot of goals and making sure they qualified for the Copa del Rey final. Into we know and yahu, but Inter for no so bo they can make sure say and Messi. So it was a really brilliant game between 2 tactical sides. Just games now, Mukoko boy, the few games that they've had over the past few years, now they compare winner. For me, this was the best game in the Champions League this season. For Benfica and Barca, they are not all, and they are grown and 2 teams in the way we at that stage, you know, nothing was at stake. But this is the semi-final, heading towards the final. Look, it was the best game in the Champions League this season. In the Barca for you can go to Italy and make things work. Sana Inter for so more tena fie ne de. Samo ya munema ye kakra bia, mo so mo betimi anya qualification no na makomanim. You can continue to bring your questions up, whatever thing that you want us to discuss. You betimi aye ho adwuma na area ma. Ye no ne ye adwuma no na bibia nso so I fine. But me need trust more for no ho nkomo kakra emfama ho. Because omo dealing in all kinds of electricals, hardware and home appliances. Auntie, so ope bibia na wo de asiesie wo dem ope no matter say fridge nom what you say oven nom ne blender fan TV nkonwa edi sisi dem bibia wo pe bia sa ya ade a ede ye fie de ukọ trust more omo ebema obi na bibia nso I fine obetimi a WhatsApp omo 024 7330515 024 7330515 trust more for no se bra omo okuma se ana fesu techima bibia wo nya omo bia no omo no obedi nkomo WhatsApp number na me de ma no again pick it 024 7330515 fa number no na on trust more for ni nkomo de wo pe bia wo de fie no wasie wie empty from say mo me feel me dan no mu ma me omo akra timi ba be che say how do we see her ye wo de akoja see her be kama TV no fa bo ha fa we see her fa air condition no bo ha na omo asa akwa sesa na omo de abrew na watimi e de aye won ma kama nti ko trust more ho na ono omo ni juma omo na your trusted partner when it comes to all home appliances omo X na so YouTube we nya omo Instagram onsa ebeka trust more the here ne say waseche omo na afi ono omo ni nkomo but again you can call them na bibia wo ha ono maka anwumire so Athletic Club against Manchester United for no story na kwakoye story bia so okasa obeka ne bebre ebe wiase no na wakwakoye nipa bonini because you don't just know the kind of United that is going to show up because United no mo yemienu in the same team you United obeko game num na okoba ball no hu te say the omo ye against Olympic Lyon even in extra time Harry Maguire no mu free akire obe share goals no there's that United and you United been so ho a ball no wo hye no o me yete obi ko share goal wo ha na obi akobie pipe no wo akire ho me ateka no and again that same United nso betimi akọ game no maso more border e be china yiye ne ho adwuma ne ahye ne best 5 no wa free game no nti you cannot just take your neck out and say to yourself say this is the kind of United that we are going to see today in this particular game nti am game no I very very dicey but Athletic Club playing at home in there you always trust them say omo betimi ayeduma some mess barrier hono ho shipa United against Athletic Club omo 4 games baako pe na ye win the United 3 na aka ni na win the Athletic Club omo more draw that into this game it's not likely said draw ebebam it's going to be a win for either side and so we'll push me harder maybe I'll go for Athletic Club the Bilbao say omo betimi anya victory game but United for squad the number and you could see some improvement who say the likes of Amad Diallo num omo back into the squad omo betimi abo ama no makoye but United for nanim hono has been their biggest problem all season the players up front they fail to score this season. Could you imagine say the likes of Harry Maguire no more goals to the chain attackers in the things aren't really matching well for Manchester United Football Club but ko be ba ha the Inaki brothers no ko betimi agi game na bo no match 2-2 goals the amount no omo ameki sure so my United for no at the free competition. There is something that could happen. Arsenal against PSG, Tottenham against Bodo Glimt, Manchester United against Bilbao, Chelsea in so Conference League them. Inti afi 3 trophies ni nyina betimi by England. But they're very very tough and difficult. Because Arsenal against PSG no so ko 10 normal no ko final no na ko year the trophy will come to England. Again, if Manchester United manages to get to the final, na se Tottenham nso ko duru ha automatically trophy ni by England. Samson at Chelsea nso timi wuram no ko je Conference League na the title will come to England. In England for no a lot of things could happen over the next few days. But Ruben Amorim akasa there for United season no. Also winning the Europa League will not change anything in our problems. It's going to help us to have the Champions League next year. More money to spend, but the problems are still here. That's just Ruben Amorim who say. So OG Europa now qualify for Champions League next season no crown. And you know never Manchester United for. He believes they need to start from scratch, build things up, and make sure say Enema betime do the level now. And I've been talking about the United squad. So Manchester United for any team this season. Look, no crapa a woman say in the prime United and Kofo when you know be a mobi. I am a can be more argue for Bruno Fernandes. Look, when you have Ryan Giggs and Paul Scholes, so Bruno doesn't come in. It is squad in there when you're Manchester United level. They need to do a proper rebuilding, a proper recruitment in terms of players. no more making sure that they will get that consistency. Ruben Amorim ne a coach or on a star or on a system or Onya Nadwin say he's going to compromise that style and that system for United players now. He's going to continue to play how he wants to play, to expose the players and the club. Said a Bayer team no be who say they have problems to solve. E bi na Ten Hag Bayer ye rease ye gu na nim asepam no because obedru ye no ohwe players na ho no ye say da bi ene ma men sesa men san no na me mod ye be suit players no. Even that they could not deliver. In this game, Manchester United could turn out to be a different beast. Again, they could also turn out to be one of the worst teams that you've seen. Andre Onana, the goal post room, shot on all corner corner so you just need to be praying because unim se ball na corner okoja manashe and answer okwa kosebi. Onya ball we chiro no pass ya. You don't know whether he's going to pass it to the opponent and now pass it the amount on the player. They have their own problems. And Bilbao will feel Sanma mess there. Who say it's going to be a bit tough for Manchester United. Omo betimi akwa konya goal ho because Bruno Fernandes in the setup free kick bar obebo penalty obetimi anya bi and then even with the corner kicks the likes of Harry Maguire and Lenny Yoro mo betimi akwa ni mu akwa kopim biahye. But again I still believe that it's going to be both teams to score but a little club for no ebetimi anya an edge. So penny here over 1.5 in that game. Harry Maguire betimi ahye goal Samson and Bruno Fernandes also in your go and Sharanyamo. Ahmad betime free bench aba no so the go be aba betum. But if you are talking about the part of the Bilbao team, you talk about the Inaki brothers. Omo yankophobia, omo betime ahadwen pa going into this particular game. And also United for omo so come on na ya ho adwuma no. Like I said, you can keep bringing your questions. We'll get time to address them and make sure say you be the who come on so at the amount at the right time. But still trust more for no come ho na obuma no money be. Because omo are very very reliable. Kumase any techiman baby a wo bia o de from wo nkran Wagadugu Boga omo be ma won saka no mani bi na won so o de adi ujuma 024 733 0515 024 733 0515 X YouTube Instagram baby a okwa onsa ebeka trust more 40 from just give them a call na ono mu nin komo na bibia so enye fine emfa ema next time the person so shiana fi ade hobia ade am keep your questions coming. We'll jot them down and then we'll try to work on that na yede ehon so niema abro. Enti channel no YouTube Robert Roy Konye. Subscribe it. Na Facebook is also the same thing. Robert Roy Konye obetimi subscribe na yedi nkomo ho. Instagram is the same name and then also all the social media platforms with me about TikTok also Robert Konye with me about what they do. If you want to sponsor our programs, 055 95 37143 055 95 37143 ofra ebedi nkomo na afi so product awo no ye de atoso na ye ho adwuma so e de amounti YouTube no mon subscribe it, ohwa comment na fa de opese ye ho adwuma fato. The next version will be about a footballer who signed his own death warrant at the age of 23 and on no akọ sign a death warrant a man free we say he was the best and keep up ye de no ebebro and that will be our next video coming soon.